Tonight, reverse course. City Council exempts properties from paying leisure pool tax. First steps. The Dawson Creek Firefighter continues to heal. And Northern Lights. The Aurora Borealis lights up the night sky. Good evening and thank you for joining us. And we begin tonight with Fort St. John City Council reversing course over the Peace River Regional District's request to exempt more residential properties from paying taxes toward the North Peace Leisure Pool. This comes after City Council initially rejected the request. City officials say the bylaw given the PRRD the ability to tax properties in Area B for the leisure pool was misunderstood by some council members. City officials say it was believed that 848 new properties were added to the exemption list. That would have resulted in a loss of tax revenue, which would have been passed on to other taxpayers. Now, city officials say these properties were already approved in the past, and the request was actually to add a small number of new properties. This past Monday, City Council approved 20 to 30 properties to be added to the exemption list. Those properties are located in an area that are too far away to access the leisure pool. Officials add the tax revenue attached to these properties is fairly insignificant. Well, an update now on the Dawson Creek firefighter who was hit by a truck while on the job on October 29th. Captain Brooks Gower is sitting in a wheelchair now and has taken his first steps since the accident.
Hi everyone, I just have Brooks here at the Vancouver General. Today is day 11 and we have him in a wheelchair making movement. So we just wanted to take a minute to say thank you to every single one of you in the community. All of you guys have been giving us your prayers, your well wishes, and sending your love and supporting us in every way possible.
Trina Gower says she feels the community has created an incredible healing force to help Brooks recover. Trina adds Brooks is still on a lot of pain medication and he can't remember the first 5 days at the hospital. She says he's had 9 broken ribs and 6 broken vertebrae. His 2 broken legs and 1 broken arm have also been surgically repaired. Trina says the next obstacle is mental health. She calls for the community to continue showing support to help with Brooks' recovery. The BC Centre for Disease Control warning about a new potential measles exposure location in Fort St. John. Health officials say anyone who attended a private event at the Fort St. John Curling Club on November the 2nd may have been exposed to the virus. The potential exposure happened between 4 and 9 in the evening. It comes after the BC CDC issued 8 other exposure locations in the city last week. On Monday, Canada lost its measles elimination status. It'll only gain that back once stopping the transmission of measles for at least 12 months. The BC CDC says measles is still circulating in the Peace region. And some public health officials say it could be a rough flu season across the country this year.
The specific strain we're worried about this year is called H3N2. It tends to have more severe seasons.
One strain on the rise this season is H3N2, and it tends to hit babies, seniors, and people who are immunocompromised the hardest. Adding to the challenge, this season's flu shot is not a perfect match for that strain. Public health officials say it's still too soon to make predictions about this flu season. Experts are reminding people that it's still a good idea to get their flu shot. Well, starting today, workers in BC will no longer be required to provide sick notes for short-term absences from work. The new rules from the province state that employers cannot ask for a sick note. This applies for an employee's first 2 health-related absences of 5 consecutive days or less in a calendar year. The province says the goal of the new rule is to help free up time for doctors and other healthcare providers. Doctors wrote an estimated 1.6 million sick notes in 2024. A rock slide may be partially to blame for a train derailment near Kamloops that saw more than 70,000 liters of jet fuel spilled earlier this month. The derailment happened on November 1st near Cherry Creek, which is about 20 kilometers west of Kamloops. It involves 17 cars that tumbled into Kamloops Lake, and crews say all of them had now been removed. The official cause is still under investigation. No one was injured in the derailment, and officials say testing has revealed that no contamination of the water system. Home sales across British Columbia were down 10.2% from a year ago, that according to October sales figures from the BC Real Estate Association. Overall, sales were 17.1% lower than the 10-year average. The average price of a home in October was more than $978,000 across the province. That's up 0.8% from the same time last year. As far as the average price for a home in Fort St. John, that's around $420,000. With Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and the holiday season coming up, the rising cost of living is expected to challenge Canadian spending habits. A new survey by the insolvency firm Harris & Partners suggests Canadians are preparing for a more modest Christmas this year. Nearly 72% of the more than 1,800 Canadians surveyed said they'll cut back on Christmas spending this year. 85% say they're sticking to a strict budget. This season, more than half of those polled also reported feeling financially unprepared for the upcoming holidays. Canadians won't hear officially until tomorrow, but we already have a sense of what Mark Carney will unveil in the second phase of his new nation-building projects. Abigail Beeman has more from Ottawa.
Silism's LNG is charting a new course for a better future.
A promotional video explains the Silism's mobile LNG facility, one of the major projects expected to be added to the list by the Prime Minister in Prince Rupert Thursday.
And has North America's shortest marine route to growing Asian markets.
In addition to Silism's in BC, CTV News has learned the Prime Minister is expected to announce a hydroelectric development project in Iqaluit, the Sisson Mine project in New Brunswick, and the Crawford Nickel Mine project in Northern Ontario.
50% of global nickel comes from Indonesia. The Chinese own 75% of those mines. We have to disrupt their stranglehold of the supply chain.
Mark Carney has faced criticism for picking projects already in various stages of development.
There's not a single project that he has launched that was not already in the making or approved before he took office.
In 2017, Dominic LeBlanc, still a minister now, said construction on the Sisson mine should start the next year.
I think that North America and Canada benefit strategically.
That mine has faced more than a decade of environmental approvals and delays. The defense minister today asked about the U.S.'s nearly $21 million contribution to it.
Our Defense Department is cooperating with our Department of Natural Resources in order to help, first of all, identify the extent of critical minerals in Canada.
These types of developments can carry dire and very expensive long-term liabilities. Short-term needs are very real. In the Canadian economy, long-term thinking also is needed.
As for the status of an east-west pipeline pushed by Alberta, no word that it will be on tomorrow's list. Danielle Smith has said she's in daily negotiations with Ottawa, hopeful that a memorandum of understanding will be ready by Sunday's Grey Cup or shortly after. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Meanwhile, the Major Projects Initiative is just one of the issues Canada's premiers want to discuss with Mark Carney. They've sent him a letter ahead of next Monday's virtual First Minister's meeting. The letter outlines the Premier's priorities, which also include the state of U.S.-Canada trade negotiations. The Premiers say they appreciate the Prime Minister's commitment to regular meetings, but they insist that our relationship with the United States has changed significantly since the last meeting. The First Ministers are stressing the importance of collaboration and keeping the provinces informed. Pierre Poilievre held his first media conference since learning he will lose two members of Parliament, one defected and the other who is resigning. The Conservative leader was asked whether he has reflected on his leadership style.
No, my plan is to continue to lead and be the only leader in the country that's fighting for an affordable Canada where our people who work hard can afford a home and food. That is my agenda.
Poilievre, who's set to face a leadership review in January, also said he does not believe more members of Parliament will leave his caucus. It's possible the U.S. government shutdown could end this evening, more than 6 weeks after it began.
They voted 15 times between the House and the Senate to close your government. And the Republicans tried every single day of the shutdown to open it. And we voted 15 times to do that. They have a lot to answer for.
The Democrats argue the vast majority of them are expected to vote against the measure in the House of Representatives. That's because it does not include an extension of Affordable Care Act tax credits. But the bill is expected to pass the Republican-led chamber. The House will vote on the legislation to reopen the government that the Senate passed on Monday night. U.S. President Donald Trump has signaled he will sign it into law. Well, the White House is once again lashing out. this time after Democrats released emails today from deceased convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The damning emails mentioned Donald Trump a number of times, alleging he knew of Epstein's criminal activity. With more, here's Joey Melvin from Washington.
The private emails are straight from convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein discussing his relationship with Donald Trump. In 2011, 3 years after Epstein pleaded guilty to sex crimes involving a minor in Florida, he wrote to his now convicted partner Ghislaine Maxwell, "I want you to realize that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim, spend hours at my house with him. He was never once mentioned, police chief, etc." Maxwell responded, "I've been thinking about that." That victim, Republicans say, was Virginia Giuffre, who said she never witnessed wrongdoing by Trump. In her memoir, she described being recruited from Trump's Mar-a-Lago club by Ghislaine Maxwell and trafficked to rich and powerful men, including the former Prince Andrew. In 2019, while President Trump was running for re-election, Epstein wrote author Michael Wolff, taking issue with Trump's claim that he kicked Epstein out of his club, alleging Trump knew about Epstein's illegal behavior. Trump said he asked me to resign. Never a member ever. Of course he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Maxwell, who's reportedly applying for clemency, told the president's lawyer in July she never saw Trump at Epstein's home.
"I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way."
The White House accuses Democrats of trying to smear the president by releasing selective emails.
It just shows how this is truly a manufactured hoax by the Democrat Party.
The Trump administration has formally closed the Epstein case, but Democrats hope releasing these emails can force a vote in the Republican-controlled House and get all of the files released. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
A couple from Ontario denied boarding by Air Transat is sharing their cautionary tale. It began with a recording of an interaction with airline staff, and it ended with a judicial ruling. Adrian Gabriel reports on the crucial video evidence.
We want to go home, that's all.
On March 31st, 2024, Madhu Haridas and his wife arrived at Punta Cana International Airport to check in for their Air Transat flight home to Toronto. The couple were finishing their first vacation away as husband and wife.
We had fun except the last day.
The last day?
Yeah.
Not so fun.
Not so fun.
That's because when they arrived at the airport, this Air Transat check-in supervisor refused to check them in unless the couple erased video they had taken of their customer service experience.
I need to delete all pictures and all video for check-in.
When they first arrived at the airport, they asked an Air Transat agent where they should line up. Haridas's wife was traveling with an Indian passport and a Canadian work permit.
He first yelled and told to stand behind a red line. So there was a red marker on the floor. So when he yelled, immediately we stood behind.
The couple say they asked the agent to stop shouting. It was during that exchange he first refused to check them in.
When he allowed everyone else to check in, that's when I started taking videos.
Then came the ultimatum.
Okay. Deleted all information with meeting your cell phone.
It is a form of extortion or blackmailing, essentially.
Never allowed to check in, they had to purchase expensive same-day tickets with another airline. They took their case to small claims court. In a written decision, an Ontario judge found that Air Transat's conduct was effectively egregious. The judge applauded the couple for taking video, which assisted him in reaching his decision.
There is no right for the airline or any airline employee to privacy that would deprive you of documenting how they are treating you.
As a passenger, you should know your rights before you travel.
Air Transat has declined to comment on the court's ruling.
The small claims court ruling resulted in Air Transat having to pay $7,000 to the couple, who also say their payment included an email from the airline congratulating them on their victory. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Mississauga, Ontario.
All right, please do stay tuned. Noah will be right back after the break with weather.